Hello friends, you're watching English with D, the channel with no jargon, only useful information. We hope that you liked our earlier videos on how to score 8 bands in IELTS reading with some fantastic techniques that we explained in those videos. In continuation to that series of reading videos, we have prepared this video in which you will learn the best method to solve multiple choice questions in reading, which is the toughest type in IELTS reading. But after watching this video, MCQs will be a piece of cake for you. Before we begin, if you are a new viewer, then please subscribe to our channel and make use of wonderful stuff that we keep sharing. And no need to say, like and share this video as much as possible. Now, we are going to teach you step by step how to solve MCQs, so watch very carefully. The first and the most important step is to find the location of questions correctly in the passage. You can easily locate the question with the help of the keywords in the question, such as a name, a place, any number, any date, some kind of activity or some quality which is mentioned in the statement of the question. After you have located the question, the next step is to divide all the 4 options into 3 different categories. First category is if the option is mentioned in some manner in the passage. For such option, mark a tick against it. Second category is if there is no mention of the option at all. For this option, mark a cross against it. Third category is when you are not sure if there is any mention of the option or not. For such an option, mark a question mark against it. This step is very important and is called the rule of elimination, because in this step we are eliminating the options which we think cannot be the answer. Now you would ask how to know whether the option is mentioned or not. For that, look for words which are common in the option and in the passage where you have located the question, or for synonyms of those words in the passage. Now, we said that step number 2 is very important, and we will explain why. The first benefit of this step is that it reduces the confusion that is created by 4 different options. The second and major benefit is that it increases your chance of getting the answer right if you are making an intelligent guess. For example, if you do not perform step number 2 and make a guess, then you are guessing one option out of 4, which means a chance of 25% of getting your answer right. But if you perform step number 2, then generally 1 or 2 options are always eliminated. Now, if you have eliminated 2 options, then you are making a guess out of remaining 2, which means 1 out of 2 or 50% chance of getting your answer right. And if you are making a guess out of 3, that means 1 out of 3, which means 33% chance of getting your answer right. In both the cases, it is much better chance than your original chance of 25%. Hence, this step is very important. Now that we have performed step number 2, let's move to the next stage. After step number 2, there are generally two cases. First case is when three options are not mentioned and the fourth option is either mentioned or you are not sure about it. In either case, this fourth option is the answer. Now, case number 2, when two options are not mentioned. In this case, there will be two scenarios. First scenario is that both the options are mentioned. In this case, the option that has more synonyms in it matching from the passage is the answer. Listen again. The option that has more synonyms matching from the passage is the answer. Now comes the second scenario. This is a scenario which is very tricky and where most of the students make mistake. So listen to the next part very carefully. In this scenario, one option is mentioned and about the second option you are not sure. So if the mentioned option uses the same words from the passage, then it is not the answer. Listen very carefully. If the mentioned option uses the same words from the passage and not synonyms, then it is not the answer. It is actually a trap for those students who make blind guess simply by matching words and make mistakes. So, if the mentioned option uses the same words as a passage, then the other option you are not sure about is the answer. And if the mentioned option uses synonyms, only then it is the answer. Watch this part again because we know at first it will sound tough and confusing, but if you watch it carefully and use this technique on at least 15 to 20 tests, we can guarantee you that you will never make mistakes again in MCQs. Now, let's look at two examples that we will solve using this technique. Here we have two multiple choice questions and we have highlighted the keywords that will help you to locate these questions in the passage. Let's solve the first question. The keywords in this question are Australian doctors, deferred and Western. Using these words, we have located the part of the passage where this question is being discussed. Now, let's try to divide our options according to the method discussed in this video. In the first option, it is said that Australian doctors work with pharmaceutical companies. Now read the part of the passage carefully, and clearly there is no mention of pharmaceutical companies. Hence, there is no mention of this option. So, we will mark a cross against it. Now, in the second option, it is said that the Australian doctors work with other therapists or doctors. Again, there is no mention of other therapists in the passage, so another cross here. The third option says that Australian doctors are reluctant to accept alternative therapists. Now, if you are reluctant to do something, that means you are not ready or willing to do it. In the passage, it is said that Australian doctors have conservative attitude towards alternative therapists. To have a conservative attitude means that you are not willing to accept or do something. So, we have a synonym here for the third option, hence we mark tick against it. Following the same pattern, we can mark a cross for the fourth option, hence concluding that only third option can be the answer, which actually is our answer in this case. Now, let's move to the second question. In this question, we have very clear two keywords, 1990 and Americans, and using these we can easily locate part of the passage where this question is discussed. Now, the first option talks about herbal medicines, and clearly there is no mention of herbal medicines in the part of the passage, hence a cross for this option. Second option says that Americans consulted alternative therapists more as compared to regular doctors. Now read very carefully, and the passage says that Americans made more visits to alternative therapists, which matches with our option, so we will mark a tick for this option. In the third option, it is said that Americans spent more money on natural therapists as compared to regular medicines. Clearly, there is no comparison between natural medicine and regular medicine. There is an amount of money given, but that is only for alternative therapies, without any comparison with regular medicine. Hence, we will mark a cross here. Moving to the last option, it says Americans made more complaints about doctors. Clearly, there is no mention of complaints, hence we can easily rule out this option by marking a cross for this. So, we are left with only possible option as our answer, and that is indeed our answer. So guys, we know that at first this technique might feel tough, but believe me, if you try this technique on at least 15 to 20 tests, then you will never feel any trouble in solving MCQs. So here it was, another great lesson from our side that will help you to crack IELTS test. Please like and share this video as much as possible and help your fellow students to take benefit from our services. And do not forget to subscribe to our channel if you have not done it already. Thanks for watching.